Well, hello. Welcome to the next and latest and today's the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday. I apologize for coming in a little bit late, but we got a wonderful show for you today. We're going to deal with some of the media news over the last few weeks and help us put these things in the proper perspective. And we're also going to deal with meal preparation for good health and for weight loss. Those were a couple of the questions that came through on the last couple of programs. And as I went back through and listened to the videos for myself, I don't believe I gave enough information to empower you all. So that's what we're going to deal with today. So I thank you all who have come in and who will come in. Thank you for the regular supporters. And so without any further from me, Shirley X, thank you for coming in. One of the regulars. You are who I was talking about. One of those who I was talking about. So let's get started with our program by giving all honor and praise to God first. So we thank Him for giving us all another day, the ability to come in and enjoy getting some information, news that you can use so that we can apply it and make our lives what it is that we foresee them being. And personally, I ask for the grace and the mercy from God to remove my ego, remove my arrogance, and so that I may be a clean vessel and a worthy vessel for information for you and your health journey. So without any further, let's get to some of these media things that I wanted to mention because as usual, the media is full of things that can make the public very concerned, what I call fear tactics. And of course, it's never the best thing to do is to have your health mantra based on fear. That's not the mind state that's best. So the first one that I want, April Muhammad, thank you for coming in. So that's the first one right there. 6 dead, 300 infected as China confirms Wuhan virus can be spread by humans. Now, let's put this in the proper perspective like we should as scientists, because the first thing that we have to take in consideration is that 6 dead people and 300 infected in a place in the world where there are 1.4 billion people. Yes, billion people. So automatically, that puts things in a much different perspective. Oh, you can hardly hear me? Oh, let me know if you can hear it better now. Is that better? But 6 people dying in a country that has 1.4 billion people is completely statistically insignificant. And I hope you all can understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to belittle anybody's life. I'm not trying to make somebody's death insignificant. That's not the point. The point is when the media decides to spread information around the world about an infection problem in a specific area, it has to be at a statistically significant place for it even to become news that people on a larger population perspective are going to take in consideration. Kalila, thank you for coming in. So, 6 people in a place where there are 1.4 billion people is like spitting in the ocean. It's not significant. Not even 300 people sick is significant in 1.4 billion people. But the reason why I brought this up for us to discuss today is because last year, the middle to the end of last year, you had the New York measles situation going on. And then towards the end of 2019, we had this big thing in Samoa, where Samoa had gone, the country went on a vast vaccination campaign, and their goal was to have everybody in the island of Samoa to be immunized. Jamil, thank you for coming in. Now, that's the point that I want everybody to take in consideration and consider within yourselves. Christine Denise Taylor, thank you for coming in. When you have a government or its entities or governments that start to come together and they want to immunize whole countries, whole islands, whole sections of people, that information has to be relevant. It can't be just some arbitrary 6 or 7 or 8, 150, 200, 1,000. 1,000 people sounds like a lot. But in China, where there are 1.4 billion people in that country, 1,000 deaths is statistically insignificant. I don't care what the problem is. There has to be a way to take that information and put it in the correct statistical way to say whether that's really a threat to even China or the surrounding countries or the world in general. And so as I go through this article, they're talking about the Chinese New Year coming up, and they're talking about limiting people from coming in there because they're going to have an increase of a few 100,000 people that are going to be coming to China to celebrate these holidays. And so what are they making people think? Oh, people are going to go there, they're going to get infected, and they're going to spread it all over the world. It to this day, 5 people and 300 people sick, that's not even a way to have anybody concerned. It's not statistically relevant. So I hope what I'm saying makes sense. And here's another article that I wanted you all to take a look at. I'm going to come back to this section right here, but I just want to read this real quick, and then I'm going to show you how a person that has some type of information, some knowledge, some wisdom, and the ability to look at statistics can make this type of situation a lot more digestible for us rather than us becoming overwhelmed with this type of information. A medical condition that often escapes public notice may be involved in 20% of deaths worldwide, according to this disease is sepsis, sometimes called blood poisoning. It arises when the body overreacts to an infection. Blood vessels throughout the body become leaky, triggering multi-organ failure. Now that right there within itself is enough to make the average person who's reading this get fearful. And that is really a deceptive way for them to say this. Stealth disease. Look at that. Stealth disease. That automatically is making it seem like it's something that's outside of normal. Stealth disease likely to blame for 20% of world deaths. This article right here is such a bold-faced damn lie, y'all. That's why I had to include it today. Sepsis is a condition that occurs when a person's immune system is very, very weak, or when people are very sick. I'm not talking about like sick with one medical problem. They go to the hospital, they get treated for it, and they get released a week or a few days later. I'm talking about people that go in the hospital with major illnesses, and we're concerned about them dying when they walk in the door. Those are the type of people that usually wind up with this stealth disease. Sepsis is a disease where an infection that a person typically can fight off overwhelms the body because the body's defense mechanisms have not been taken care of, or for whatever reason have been depleted so that the body can't fight correctly. See, that's a very sinister way to present this information to the public, using words like stealth and using words like 20% of the world's population. Hell, it doesn't make a difference whether we change things or not. When people are that sick, the majority of them are going to die anyway. So to me, it's a very, very indicative of today's media. And that's the reason why I like to have these type of programs, so that you all will be empowered that when you see things like this, the first thing you have to say to yourself is, that probably doesn't apply to me. And then for the rest of this show, well, after a couple of more things, but for the rest of this show, we're going to be talking about how to take care of your body, how to formulate a meal plan, how to put your plate and your bowl together so that these type of things won't even concern you. Not now, not 10 years, 15 years, 50 or 100 years. I don't care what age you are today, but yes, 100 years from now, you should not have to concern yourself about things like that. So I'm praying that you all are understanding my point. Next one. Whatever this company is, we don't have to get into that. Group joins nationwide petition to designate PFAS as a hazardous waste. Now, I've mentioned this before. I did this in the estrogen assault video. So if you want to know specifics about that, I did a little bit on that. But I just wanted to mention about these chemicals and how they're talking about them. They come from firefighting alone. But here it is. It's talking about liver damage, high cholesterol, obesity, diabetes, cancer, thyroid disease, asthma, immune system dysfunction, reduced fertility, low birth weight, and effects on children's cognitive and neurobehavioral development. That's doggone near everything any doctor has to ever deal with. And it's coming from things like your flame retardants, non-stick cookware, which a lot of us have in our kitchens, and we talked about that before, grease-proof food wrapping, waterproof textiles, because these chemicals are known to have a very long life. And what can happen is once you get it in the soil or even in your body, sometimes it can last for a very long period of time. We talked about that as well in the other programs about how you can store toxins in your fat for very long periods of time. So another reason that we're going to get into our show today is so that we can really understand how to constantly deal every day of our life in the capacity of saying, I am taking care of something today. I'm doing well with my body today. My body made some progress today. Those are the type of powerful, positive thoughts that we have to have in our head every day as we go through the day, okay? So, last two negative things, and then we're going to go all positive for the rest of the evening. Jamil, they're surrounding us with chemicals to kill us. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the good thing is that well, let me say the negative aspect of that is if we concentrate on that every day, then we get into negative thoughts and then our health goes in that same direction. But if we look at the chemicals that are being surrounded with us every day, we have to go back to something that I mentioned in previous shows, and that is that every chemical that can kill you had to be made from what? The periodic table of elements, right? And that periodic table of elements not only is the makeup of everything that we see on the earth, chemical or not, it's also what produced these human bodies. Everything that's in the earth is in these human bodies. So when we look at a periodic table, I'm pulling up one now, just as a reminder, right? When you get to that periodic elemental table, those are all the things that are in your body. And those are also all the things that they use to produce everything on the planet. So when you take care of your body correctly, you are able to remove all of these things out, even if they're in combinations. It may take a little longer if they're in combinations, but they still are able, your body is able to deal with these. So that's the thing. We have to have confidence. So when we leave a program like this, I want you to have confidence that, yes, we are surrounded by a lot of chemicals, but at the end of the day, when you do the things that we're going to be talking about today, you have the confidence that your body is going to be able to take care of that as well. So we have to do things to detox every day. We have to do things to get the right nutrition, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes, okay? I just wanted to address what Jamil mentioned, which is actually a very good point. And so here's something that I think we all have to really be mindful of, and that's with what you bring in your house as well as what you get out of your house, and that is, this article is talking about America's most popular cooking oil linked to many neurological changes. And so what are we talking about? This is soybean oil. We've talked before about how horrible soybean oil is, but in this article they're talking about a lot of brain issues, or reducing the quantity of that compound doesn't prevent soybean oil from having a potential negative effect on neurological conditions ranging from depression and anxiety, which is overwhelmingly common in this country, autism, Alzheimer's, the most common memory issue, right? The general name for memory is dementia, but Alzheimer's is a specific type of dementia. So we're talking about, you know, the part of the brain, the hypothalamus, which is majorly important on our everyday health, on our everyday ability to exist and to do the things that keep us alive and keep us functioning at a very high rate. Hypothalamus is very important. And now they're saying, now this is a very small study and a very early study, so we can't make a lot of conclusions based on this study. But the point is that people are out there looking at what potential soybean oil has negatively on our brain. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in How to Eat to Live, Book 1 and 2, stay away from soybean oil. Stay away from the flour and the oil. He said this in the 30s and the 40s. So we've had somebody that's given us information that can protect us. And that's, of course, the basis of what I do, How to Eat to Live. And so that's why we're having this program today, is to be able to produce things that will increase our ability. Now, I wanted to just kind of mention this, 6 good sources of vitamin D for vegetarians, because this is the problem that I see the most. Okay? Now, I have said this before. The reason why I did the program last week, it'll be on YouTube in the next couple of days, Optimal Vegetarianism Without Supplementation, is because I see a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. I see people that become vegetarians and they think that becoming a vegetarian is just stopping eating meat. That is an aspect of vegetarianism. You do have to stop eating meat. But there's a science to what it is that you need to put in your body. So please, if you need to learn more about that, go back and check out Optimal Vegetarianism here on Facebook. But also it will be on YouTube probably within the next couple of days, and you can check it out there if you want to. But it's very important that we understand what foods have what nutrients, because this is what I see people struggle the most, whether they're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, whatever the case may be. This is where people have their biggest problem. Now, here is an article by a person. I'm not going to mention this person's name or anything, but I just wanted to deal with a couple of things that don't make any sense. If sunshine was the way that people can get vitamin D, why is so much of the United States vitamin D deficient? So when people keep saying that all you have to do is go out into sunshine and you'll get your vitamin D, that doesn't make any sense. Because there's enough sunshine in most of the states in the United States where vitamin D shouldn't be an issue, because people are able to go outside enough. Now, there is a change in climate in America where a lot of people are staying indoors a lot more, so that could be part of it. But the point that I'm getting to is that I've had many patients over the years who do a lot outdoors, and their vitamin Ds are low because they don't eat vitamin D rich foods. So this is something that I disagree with. You cannot get your vitamin D just from sunshine. You have to eat the right foods. Another thing I want to clarify is that some people think that I am against mushrooms. No, I'm not against mushrooms. I have said in my programs that I don't do mushrooms. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I am 100% sure, did not mention mushrooms in How to Eat to Live, Book 1 or Book 2. So if you want to do mushrooms, they are nutritious. I don't do mushrooms because I don't agree that the way it is produced and the manner it is produced, it's not produced in the same way that other quality foods are. And so I kind of stay away from it as a personal choice. Not necessarily that you shouldn't do it, but you know, I believe I am doing the best, but I'm not going to tell anybody not to do mushrooms if that's something that you enjoy and something that you believe you're getting good nutrition from. Egg yolks are a good source of vitamin D. You got to make sure that you buy the soy-free eggs, because it is very well known that if a chicken eats soybeans, that the soy is going to be in the yolk. So you want to stay away from that. Cheese. Now you have to make sure that this cheese is made from milk that has not been homogenized. That will be an issue. If you do that, you will not be getting the vitamin D that you think you're getting. It's destroyed in the homogenization process. So make sure that the cheese is what they consider raw, and make sure that you do your research, as I've stated in previous programs, on how to make sure that the food is coming from the right farms. Now, fortified foods, please do not be fooled by this statement. Fortified foods are not a good place. Fortified foods means that they either bleached the food and then added nutrients back in it, or it had no nutrients in the beginning and they added it. And where is it added from? From a chemical laboratory. Cannot compare to the things we're going to discuss further in this program. And then lastly, supplements. And I'm sure you all are very, very familiar, those of you who continue to come back and have been listening to me for a while, there's nothing that a supplement can do that can compare to what God put on this planet. And so in my personal opinion, check out the program Optimal Vegetarianism, where I go in specifics to the foods that you need for those certain things. Because at the end of the day, what is it that we are trying to do? We are trying to get our health from the best place. Now, as I always say, what I really am saying, I'm going to make it very plain today, that you have to put God first. So people that use supplements and do herbs and all these other things, I'm not trying to say that they're not putting God first. But for me, that wouldn't be putting God first, because God made food. And if I go to his source, there can't be anything better. I'm sure some of you have seen, when you're looking for good things, you see this turmeric that they have out here now. They're talking about it's so many percentage greater absorption than the way it is out of the root. I don't see how that's possible. Matter of fact, I see that that is impossible, that anybody can go in a laboratory, make it into a pill, make it into a powder, some man do something that's going to benefit your body better than the way that a food that goes in your body after it's chewed and digested, it can't get better than that. Can't get better than that. You got to put God first. That's right, Jamil. So that's what we're talking about today. The substances that we need in order to get the type of health that we're looking for. And so we're talking about meal planning for health and weight loss today. And the main thing that I want to get to you all today is, please, it's time for us to destroy our dependence on the things that we learned as children, whether you came up in a household and your parents taught you how to eat, or you learned it from an aunt or grandmother, or just being around other people. If you have not gotten good results, if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, I don't care what your age is, if you are living your life and meal planning based on what you were taught as a young person, and you have medical problems or you have deteriorating health, isn't that a testament to the fact that you don't have the right information? This is not to put anybody down, I'm just being honest. We have to properly assess what we are doing. Maxine X, thanks for coming in. And so when we do that, we have to say, well, what is it that I learned? Why is it that it didn't work? And then maybe we have to just clean the slate and start over. And so, some of the things that we really need are our water-soluble B vitamins, right? I showed this last time. B1 all the way to B9. I'm sorry, B12. And, you can recognize those names, or you don't really have to. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about what we should be attempting to get out of our foods, right? And so when you look at some of this stuff online, the reason why I'm showing this is because these are some of the places that you all can go. Sometimes the information is good, sometimes it's not. But these are the major ones. When you look at the categories of what your food should give you, carbohydrate, in the same classification as starch, same classification as sugar. Protein, same category as amino acids. Lipid, same as fat, oil, grease, water, vitamins. You got your fat soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, right? And K is mostly made by the body. And then you got your C and your B, which are water soluble, meaning when you have too much, you're just going to urinate them into the bathroom, into the toilet. And then your minerals are everything that I just finished showing on that periodic table, okay? So when it comes to what you do in order to get all of those, you all, of course, can ask questions, as many of you want, as I go along, but I just wanted to show this. Typical bowl and typical plate of a person that sits down and eats a typical meal, right, as an adult. And so when you are going to eat something that has, some consistency that you want to put in a bowl, and you want to start partitioning your plate into what is healthy and what's not, how do you do those things? And that's the specifics that I want to get to today. And so let me first start with, please kill the idea in your head that there is such thing as a breakfast food, a lunch food, and a dinner food. That to me is the first thing that you need to destroy, because that's all lies. That's all corporate greed that made us believe and started to influence the society to think that there's something specific. Like I have to go buy a cereal, I have to eat eggs and toast and pancakes and waffles and sausage and all that kind of stuff for breakfast. That's corporate ideology and marketing that made us think that way. So we must disabuse ourselves of that from the beginning. What is a good mantra to go by when you are formulating what you're going to eat and you're formulating your meal plan? It should go right back to what I just finished stating. How is it that you put together a plate that gives you all of these categories? Okay, so let's talk about a few things just real quickly. Okay, here is, what's that, a mango. In here I have my avocados. They say when you put them in a brown paper bag, they become ripe a little faster, but that's what I have, a avocado, right? You can see on there, I know what I'm doing to some degree, right? Because my avocado has 5 numbers that start with a 9, meaning it's organic, right? Apple, banana, some oranges. Now, why did I start with a piece of fruit? Mark Fish, thank you for coming in. The reason why I start with a piece of fruit is because there are a lot of people who don't know anything about health that will try to tell the public that sugar is bad for you, and that's absolute nonsense information. Carbohydrates are very important. Fruits are high in carbohydrates. Fruits don't have a lot of protein, they don't have a lot of fat, but they have a lot of carbohydrates, and those carbohydrates are usually tied to vitamins and minerals. And then the category that's not on here is the one that I talked to you all about before, and that was the phytonutrients, right? And so when you all are considering what it is that you're going to eat, what would be a good idea is, as I said before, when you are looking to get your whole lifestyle organized around what you're going to eat, the first thing that you can consider should be, what is it that I'm doing now? Evaluate what you are doing so that you can go in the direction of making the adjustments and the improvements. Specifically what? I eat 3 meals a day. Well, you shouldn't go from 3 meals a day to 1 meal a day, or 3 meals a day to 1 meal every other day. You shouldn't go from 3 meals a day to long extended fast. Your body can't handle that. But what you can do is say, what about, Latrice, thank you for coming in. What about if I eat 3 meals a day, and I've typically been eating these so-called breakfast foods, right? I get up in the morning, I have cereal with milk. The cereal is a throwaway food. Really, most cereal is made from the byproducts of other manufacturing, and they sweep up the madness and put it in a box and call it cereal. Not very good. Most of them are fortified. We just talked about fortified and enriched foods, right? That's not good enough for you. But if you were to come away from that type of diet, stopping at McDonald's or eating Shipley's donuts or any type of processed food like that, like Pop-Tarts and things of that nature, come away from that and eat from fruit in the morning. Because fruit is going to give you not only beautiful, that's the one I'm looking for right there, not only going to give you beautiful, as I just finished saying, carbohydrates and nutrients and vitamins, but here's the list that we were also looking at the other day, right? Where, and you all can find this, this is do the 5 colors of the phytonutrients. And this is how you start planning what your meal planning is going to be like. You don't have to meal plan yourself like somebody else. You have to meal plan yourself for yourself, what you like, what you enjoy. Okay? So please go back and study optimal vegetarianism, because I go in depth. But these are the different colors and the type of benefits and those words that I was talking about last time, right? When we start looking at lycopene and ellagic acid and quercetin and hesperidin, anthocyanidins, you don't have to remember these things. You just have to remember that if you get these type of colors in your body and you do it on a regular basis and you're buying organic food, prioritize yourself and put your money towards your health, then you can wake up in the morning and you can say, you know what? I think I'm going to start eating fruit for breakfast. Why is fruit important? Number one, you get the sugars that really improve the brain functioning. The brain can't function without sugar. Sugar that comes from fruit are the best sugars. Number two, very high in the nutrients and vitamins we just said. If you're getting organic fruit, you know sometimes they're picked early. Maria Muhammad, thank you for coming in. But don't worry yourself about that. We are taught in How to Eat to Live that you can eat 1 meal a week and you'll live to 1,000 years. So the second major point is not only about getting away from the thoughts of an industry, an industrial idea that makes you think you have to eat certain things. The second thing that we have to disabuse ourselves is that you need so much nutrition. No, you need some nutrition, and then you need to allow your body to use that. So the longer periods of time in between eating, the better you are. Now, what I'm saying is that fruit is one of the superior foods that you can eat. So if you wake up in the morning, rather than eating cereal or some oatmeal, which is difficult to digest, or some other foods that are not necessarily good for you, like grits and things of that nature, what if you had a bowl half full of blueberries and strawberries and blackberries and cherries? Now that's some good food. Now that's something that would give you energy, and it would sustain itself through your day. Because not only is it great for you, but it's going to have a lot of those phytonutrients that are going to go doing what? Go in and decrease aging, go in and fix things, and start improving your body's metabolism as a whole to be able to fix everything that's wrong in the body. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that first. Let's get rid of all of these ideas that I have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner foods. No, you need to eat the type of foods that are going to give you the quality nutrition that you need to support the body and the way that it works. Okay? Secondly, let's go to what typically nutritionists and these so-called food tables tell you to do, right? They say, for the most part, to cut your plate in a fourth, right? And you want your table, your plate after that to be what? Protein, vegetables, starches, and then they say other, right? And I'm here to say that as long as the American public has been following this type of information, you've seen nothing but diseases get worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay? First of all, there is no need to have a portion of your plate be protein, which usually they're talking about a meat. Meat is not necessary for you to have good health. Now, that's not to knock anybody on this program that may be a meat eater. Because if you're a meat eater, I'm not trying to put you down, but I am trying to say that eating meat, any type of meat, is not the best for you. Fish is a good meat, but it's still not better than eating a plant-based diet. All right, so a navy beans or eating navy beans is superior to eating fish. Fish is superior to eating anything else. But the key to understanding protein is that you can get it in beans, navy bean being the best bean that you can eat, and you can also get some proteins in your vegetables. So again, let's go back to the plate, and let's say that I'm meal planning and I want my protein. Well, if you learn how to make beans in the best way, and I would suggest if you don't know how to make navy beans, because that's the only bean that I can suggest because it's the best bean for the body. So if you don't know how to make navy beans, you may be able to go on YouTube and find something, but the best thing would be is to find your local Nation of Islam and go and try to find either a recipe or ask somebody that knows how to make it well and they can let you know. I'll find out if I can maybe get a recipe and I'll upload it on my site. So maybe somebody can give me some information, or I will give that to you all after the program is done. But if you have navy beans and then you have some vegetables on your plate, your protein needs have been sufficed. Okay? It is very, very unscientific for people to talk about 60 grams of protein and 40 and 50 grams of protein. That's really not necessary. You know, when people are professional athletes or these bodybuilders and they're doing all this physical activity, they're doing a lot of wear and tear of their muscles, and they do need a lot of amino acids to rebuild that. But the typical everyday person doesn't need near that much protein as that person. But even those people are way overdoing it, and that's why a couple of programs back I talked about how a lot of these weightlifters and these trainers, they look old because they're overburdening their body. They're eating 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 meals a day, and a lot of those meals have protein in it. They're overworking their bodies. They're tearing down their liver, tearing down their kidney. It is not the same reality. Meal planning can't be the same for a professional athlete and for a heavy bodybuilder versus an average everyday person who just is doing sedentary work. That's just no comparison. So this talk that I'm doing today is for the average person that has a sedentary lifestyle. I would have to get into specifics to deal with a person who is a professional athlete, and I have dealt with that over years. Okay, so again, we are talking about what? These major nutrients that we need to get out of our foods: carbohydrate, water, vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients are all going to come from fruit. So now what do you do? Protein and fat. Just talked about navy beans. We just talked about vegetables. Now, when you are going back to this plate and you're saying what it is that you are going to put on this plate, well, today, my meal, I had to eat a little early because that was something I was doing before I came to this program, to do my program. But today I had about that much navy beans in my bowl, and then on my plate I had vegetarian sausage, some bell peppers, some onion mixed up with some quinoa pasta. And so my plate had food on it, probably about that much. And when I finished eating this and that, I was full. I didn't eat anything else. Now, I am working on getting to a place where I know, and I shouldn't say getting to a place, I already know what it is, but I'm refining it to where what I eat every day is going to give me the exact nutrients that I'm looking for when I'm trying to get certain things in my body. So tonight, before I go to bed, I'm going to have a small smoothie. It's going to be raw milk, and it's going to have some what am I putting in there? Blueberries and some mangoes. Okay, so again, that milk is going to have some fat in it. That milk is going to have some amino acids. That milk is going to have all the vitamins, B vitamins. It's going to have some vitamin D and some vitamin A. So based on what I ate earlier with my navy beans, I got all my amino acids. I got all of the fat. I got all of the sugar. That's very consistent with how the body is broken down, because the navy bean is the only bean that I know of that breaks down very similar to the human body. When you take the human body and break it down and how much fat, how much protein, and how much sugar's in it, it's very similar to the navy bean, okay? I got a lot of carbohydrates with the pasta that I ate. That quinoa pasta has a lot of carbohydrates in it, meaning that it has a lot of sugar. But I'm going to burn that off. I got an hour and a half workout I'm going to do in the morning, and then I'll be active all through tomorrow. And then the thing for me is that tomorrow I don't eat. So when I do eat, I eat quite a bit. I make sure that I get all of my nutrients in, because tomorrow I'm not going to eat. It'll be 48 hours before I eat. But that's immaterial for those of you who are making your own meal plan, because even if you're eating one meal a day, you still want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need, right? You want to make sure that your carbohydrates, your proteins, and again, a lot of people are out here talking about, decrease your sugar in your diet. There's nothing that I've said today that would make me have to decrease my carbohydrates. There's not a carbohydrate that I ate that was bad for me. The carbohydrate out of the quinoa was great carbohydrate. The protein and amino acids is what I'm really saying, because in the navy bean and the raw milk, the protein has already been broken down into amino acids. You do a little bit of digestion with the navy bean, but most of that is already amino acid. I got my fat. I drank my water and got water with I'm going to get water with the milk. Many vitamins, minerals, and a bunch of phytonutrients because of all the fruit that's going to be in my smoothie. I hope that makes sense. But the point that I'm really getting to is that I don't want you to have to think that you have to do something special based on what I'm saying. You can do similar to what I just finished saying and get everything you need. Even if you're eating one meal a day, you still have to make sure that you're getting your nutrients. If you are still doing 3 meals a day, then you can spread that out over the day. You can eat your fruit in the morning. You can do a smoothie in the middle of the day, or eat some fruit or some vegetables, something like that in the middle of the day, and then the evening time eat something with protein. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I was suggesting that with this person who doesn't have a problem going to 1 meal a day, she can do her 1 meal a day in the middle of the day. She can do it for lunch. She walks during her breaks at work. She stopped smoking, so she got rid of that bad habit. And instead of sitting on your break and being with other people that are smoking, or having smoking on your mind, go for a walk. And then at the end of the day, she doesn't even have to eat anything. Or if she wants to eat something light, like some fruit or something like that, then she's doing what? Putting more good nutrients in her body that her body needs, but not adding anything negative. Now, one of the big things that we have to discuss is the aspect of your will. your desire, your dedication. That can't be underestimated. Because for every single one of you out here who is overweight and wanting to lose weight, I don't have any tricks. I don't have any magical plan. The reality is that you have to start somewhere. And my suggestion is that you start with making sure that you improve the quality of food that you are putting in your body. And when you start putting quality food in your body, you will start to notice less and less hunger. And as you notice less and less hunger, and you're still putting these quality foods in, you have to lose weight. But the key component to losing weight is to not think that you have to compare yourself to somebody else, that you have to try to get yourself into the frame that you see in other people, which might be totally unrealistic for you. And then the third important aspect of losing weight is, if it took you many, many years to gain it, get away from the idea that you need to get rid of it fast. It's not necessarily true. Let me give you all something that is an actual scientific fact. In people that are 250, 300, 400, 500 pounds, it is never the most important thing for this person's health to lose 150, 200 pounds, 300 pounds. No. A lot of times, if a person is 300 pounds, losing 30 pounds does a great benefit for the body. The body is overwhelmingly improved just with 30 pounds. If you weigh 200 pounds and you want to get down to 150, take your time. Because every time you lose weight, your body has to readjust itself and get back to a homeostasis or a balance. Every time you lose weight, it has to readjust. But you will see, you will feel, you will know the differences. Don't get yourself caught up in no fads, no diets, no quick weight loss programs. All of that stuff is a bunch of nonsense. It takes hard work for good health. It takes time, learning, understanding. My videos are on here for you all to go anytime you want. And even if you go back and you listen to a video I did 2 years ago, you ask me a question, it's going to come up on my notification. I'll answer it. So get yourself ready to put in the work that you need. And you all let me know if I'm answering your questions. There's one here, but I just want to, am I making sense to you with how you have to meal plan? And of course, I haven't even covered sweets yet, but we'll get to that in a second. Maxine, she says, what are your thoughts of just eating navy bean soup along with only water? That would depend on what the perspective is of doing navy beans with only water. I think navy beans are some of the best food that you could put on your body, put in your body, period. I eat navy beans with every meal, or at least try to. Probably a good 80 to 85% of my meals, there's going to be navy beans. I think it's that good of a food because of what I just said. It's very in congruence with the human body. The amino acids are great. It has one of the highest sources of glutathione, along with raw milk. Glutathione is the most powerful antioxidant that we know of. The human body makes it, but navy beans and raw milk bring high levels of it into the body. And so that's something that I want in my body as often as I can. Jamil mentioned earlier about all the chemicals that are around us. And so that's what I mean when I say, do you have the confidence that your body has the ability to deal with all that? It would be no difference than if you went into a dojo or went and got with somebody that is good at martial arts, and you say, hey, look, I want to learn how to protect myself and my family. When you first start dealing with the martial arts, it's going to be new, so you're not going to be very comfortable. And even when you first started, if you got into a situation where somebody was getting ready to threaten you, you might not even be able to use it, right? But as you continue to practice, you'll get to a point where you walk around and you're like, man, I don't give a damn who has what. I feel confident that I'm going to be able to protect myself or die trying. That's the way we have to get with our health, okay? And that's why I say we should eat navy beans every day for that fact. We should drink raw milk 2 or 3 times a week for that fact. We should eat fruit. Every day that we eat, we should eat fruit because that's the best way from a phytonutrient and antioxidant perspective other than navy beans and raw milk. So those 3 foods that I mentioned, they're very, very high quality. Okay, so you guys are saying that I am making sense. That's great. Maxine, you say for the purpose of detoxing. Yes, I think that's an excellent idea to detox, to use navy beans and only water. That's excellent. Um, Excellent way. Let me know what period of time would you consider doing that? Shirley X says, what about organic whole wheat bread and whole milk yogurt? Wow, right on time, right in line with what I was about to mention. I was about to mention that sometimes when I talk, I forget to mention whole wheat bread. And the first thing that I need to demystify is this whole gluten thing. Gluten is a part of the internal aspect of the wheat grain, and they have found a lot of chemicals and things in that gluten. But understand that the gluten is the fatty or the glycose. It's actually like the gooey aspect of that wheat, and so it does attract a lot of the chemicals that are sprayed. But people have been eating wheat on this planet for trillions, probably billions of years, or billions and trillions of years. And for it all of a sudden to become a problem, and now we're gluten insensitive and all these type of things, that's not true. You have to find good sources of wheat, very high in nutrients, very good in B vitamins, very high in vitamin E, one of the best sources of vitamin E. So good whole ground wheat flour bread, not enriched wheat flour. So you can't tell what wheat bread is by going in a store and looking at the front of the the package when these people are marketing to you. You have to look into the ingredients and see whole ground wheat flour. And then the ingredients that follow that should not say anything about enriched or fortified, because that's a problem as well. Okay? Good whole ground flour wheat bread. That's what you need. And the good ones usually only have about 7 or 8 ingredients. When you get these breads that have 30, 40, and 50 ingredients, you know you're eating something that's very detrimental to your health. Whole milk yogurt, yes. Yogurt, kefir, cottage cheese, cream milk, I'm sorry, cream cheese, all of those things are mentioned in How to Eat to Live as being good for us. And I think that it's very good. Again, I did a whole 2-hour show on milk. So if you want to know the right questions to ask a farmer or a dairy where you're trying to get your products like that, go back and check that out, please. But yes, those are very highly nutritious foods. They are even better than milk in a lot of instances, because as the milk sours, as the milk gets older, it actually increases in its vitamins and glutathione. So that's very, very beneficial. So great question, Shirley. Thank you again. Maxine says for 30 days. I think that would be an excellent thing for 30 days. Again, I've talked about doing fasts and doing cleanses before. I think people have to prepare their bodies for detoxes for that longer period of time. Why? Because when you do a 30-day detox with navy beans, I am not saying anything negative about the navy bean detoxification. It's a great thing. The concern that I would have is whether a person could go 30 days and not need some vitamin C, go 30 days and not need some of the nutrients and the phytonutrients that are not in the navy bean, because navy beans are not a whole food. A whole food means everything is in it. Navy bean is part of a whole food diet, one of the best parts of a whole food diet, but navy beans, to my understanding, don't have vitamin C. They do have a lot of B vitamins. They do have sometimes vitamin A, plenty of amino acids and antioxidants, yes, but vitamin D, no, it's not in there. Vitamin C, I don't think it's in there. Vitamin E is not in there. So those vitamins being very important to the body and how it functions, my plan, if somebody were to come to me and they would say, well, what would you suggest that I do if I was going to go on a 30-day navy bean detox? I would say, well, the 30 days before you do 30-day navy bean detox, you got to make sure that you're eating foods that have all of these other vitamins that I'm talking about in good quantity, so that you get your body built up. And then when you do that 30-day fast, there's nothing negative that can happen. There's probably nothing negative could happen in a 30-day navy bean detox in general, because it's going to do a lot of good things for the body. It's just that there may be some deficiencies at the end of that 30 days. And that's not really a big deal, because it would do so much good. You can go right back into the food. So either way, it's going to be a benefit, but that just would be my concern. What is the person's nutritional status going into the 30-day detox. Because understand, when you go into a detox, when you get rid of those chemicals that you're getting rid of out of the body, that sometimes is difficult for the body to handle. It's also some damage that's being done when those toxins are coming out. So your body has to rebuild and restructure and renew and revitalize from all the damage that's being done. So you have to make sure that your body is prepared in order to handle those things. Or sometimes as you go through a detox, sometimes as you go through a fast, which are very good for the body, it can cause some fatigue. It sometimes can cause some other things because there may be some deficiencies that are occurring as the time goes on. Excellent question, though, and excellent idea, Maxine. Thank you. Christine says, "What about quinoa?" Yeah, I think quinoa is a very good food. It is, as I said earlier, it's considered a pasta, so it does have a percentage of it that is carbohydrates. But the nutritional value is pretty good. It's not very difficult to digest. Sometimes you see little pieces of it. There's a little, like a core of it that may be a little more difficult to digest. So that may take a little more time for you to get out. Sometimes you can see it in the stool. That doesn't mean that it's not digestible. It just means some aspects of it may be. But quinoa is a very good food. That's actually what I had today. I ate quinoa today. I had some vegetarian sausage with it. I had some onions and bell peppers. Um, so it's definitely something I eat probably once or twice a week. Sometimes I eat rice, and then sometimes I have neither one. I just eat vegetables and the fruit and the navy beans like I was talking about. Maxine says, "Is the milk show on your YouTube channel?" Yes, it's on a YouTube channel. It says something about NOI doc responds to polite milk posts, so it's about 2 hours long, but yes, it's on there. Constantina, Constantina Mama, thank you for coming in. So just to finalize and make some final points, adding green peppers to navy bean soup and onions will give you the vitamin C. Yes, I agree. Now, the only question, Walia, thank you for that. I agree that green peppers and onions have vitamin C, but is it still adequate amounts once you cook them? I do know that vitamin C is heat sensitive, so sometimes when you put green peppers and onions and other things in bean soup, and you cook it enough for the beans to be at a good consistency, that sometimes your vitamin C levels may not be that much. But let me know if that is accurate or inaccurate, as you know. But again, good point, because vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin, and if you're doing 30 days of navy bean soup and you're not taking any vitamin C in from any other perspective, by the time that 30 days is up, you probably will have either low levels or no levels of vitamin C. Not that big of a deal because you haven't gone that long, to have any major problems, but vitamin C is an important aspect of rebuilding some of your tissues, and it's definitely necessary as you try to maintain and rebuild the structures that are being damaged by the detoxification. So last couple of points, y'all, as you ask your final questions. If you are trying to lose weight, you want to make sure that you plan to put on your plate what's necessary for you, what's good for your intake, right? If you eat navy beans and you have a bowl with you some quinoa, let's say what I ate today, some quinoa, some vegetables, and you got a piece of bread over there, well, the dedication part is to make your plate and then be disciplined enough to not overeat, to be disciplined enough not to say, I'm going to go back for seconds. If you are overweight, at first you may do that, but you got to discipline yourself. So make your plate and put the type of food on there that you know is good for your nutrients, the ones we talked about, right? But then start doing the disciplinary actions of decreasing the type of foods that may be adding to your weight gain and increase the foods that's very difficult to gain weight with. And what are those? Fruits, vegetables, navy beans, very difficult to gain weight with that. And I will be honest with you all, it is possible to gain weight with those with the raw milk. Raw milk has a lot of nutrients, a lot of fat nutrients in it. And so if you're eating a good whole meal, like I said I'm going to do today. I ate my navy beans earlier. I had my quinoa pasta earlier. Later on this evening, before I go to bed, I'm going to have a smoothie. But understand, I'm going to work out tomorrow, probably for 2 hours in the sun. And then I'm not eating tomorrow. So if you're the type of person that wants to have a good thing and get all your nutrients, what would be good for you would be to eat like I ate today and then not do your smoothie until tomorrow. And smoothie would be your meal for tomorrow. You don't have to eat any food. Smoothies have a lot of nutrients in there. I said I'm going to put milk, I'm going to put honey, I'm going to put blueberries and mangoes in my smoothie. And it's probably going to be like a 16-ounce cup. But again, after today, I'm not eating for another 48 hours. So until you build yourself to that, which I think is healthy, it's healthy for all of us to go in that direction of eating less and less and less meals because we'll get more and more life. But you have to be honest with yourself and take your time to get there. Get rid of all the things that box you in, all the things that make you think that there's some standard. No, the standard is what good food are you going to put on your plate and in your body for today. Okay? So just a quick review. All fruits that have seeds are good for you. Your vegetables that you should consistently and constantly eat: broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, okra, eggplant, bell peppers, if you consider those vegetables, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, squash. Those are your good vegetables. All right? Navy beans. Because of the climate that we live in, navy beans is something that you should eat every day. You should try to eat every day. If you go a 7-day week and you eat it 5 times, you did a good enough job. Don't kill yourself. Be practical, okay? Raw milk to get your vitamin D, the best source of raw milk that I know of. Do that 2 or 3 times a week. And if you're trying to lose weight, you should only do it twice a week. Twice a week is enough for you to get the vitamin D from your raw milk. Don't worry about getting so much. You don't need that much. You need vitamin D from the good sources, and then go out there in sunshine and let it activate it, and it's at its highest peak after that sun activates it through your skin. Don't worry about the amounts. We can work on that after you get to a place where you're doing your meal planning better. And as you all start working on this, if you have any questions, reach out to me, okay? Come on here, drop a question, and I'll answer it. Thank you for answering my question. No, thank you for bringing up the great points. It's Walia. Maria says, as for the raw milk, what if you have been told that you have Candida in your body and raw milk is not good for you, meaning that Candida and raw milk work against each other? I would say that that's absolute garbage information, because Candida is an infection. It's, first of all, it's a yeast. It's an infection that grows when the body is out of balance as far as the bacteria yeast balance. We all have yeast in our bodies. That's why when a person who has HIV, if the HIV destroys enough of your immune cells, they grow yeast. It's called Candida, right? They grow it in their mouth. A woman can grow it in her vagina. Sometimes the people can have it all through their GI system. Why? Because as the bacteria get destroyed, as the immune system is being killed, yeast starts to overgrow. So it's in our body normally. It's kept subdued by the balance between the bacteria and the yeast. Milk is one of the best things that you can do. Now we're talking about milk that has not been pasteurized and homogenized, especially homogenized. There can be some pasteurization of milk and it still be good, but homogenization is what really destroys the good things in milk. If you are drinking milk that was raised correctly, the cows were taken care of correctly, and you get it into your body, your bacteria is going to be at its utmost and most powerful place. So no, you can't, there's no milk and Candida working against each other unless you're drinking milk that is not correct. If you're drinking milk that has been pasteurized and homogenized, yes, you're going to have a Candida problem because it doesn't get a balance in the body. It causes destruction of your bacteria. But good milk will grow your bacteria and put that balance back correct. So whoever said that, the reason why I said garbage information is because most of these people out here classify milk as one entity, and it's just not true. You have to categorize milk in 2 categories, and that is one, milk that has been processed, meaning that the cows were fed soy and grains and weren't allowed to graze, and the animals were shot up with antibiotics and shot up with steroids. That type of milk that they get out of the cow and then they take it to the place and they pasteurize and homogenize it, that's death. That's going to kill you. But if you do your proper research and you get it from the proper farm and you put it in your body in the right manner, It cannot serve you wrong. It will only benefit you. And so I'm not trying to down any person, Sister Maria, but what I am saying is that a lot of times these people talk like this and they don't clarify. And sometimes it's because they just don't know. And so if the information that you're giving to people isn't complete and it's not adequate, which I pray every time I come on here that that's what I'm doing, but if people are giving you half information and information that's not good enough to empower you, then it's really garbage information. You need to throw it away because it's not going to serve you well. I hope I'm being clear. April asks, is raw milk better than organic? Well, let me clarify what I'm saying when I say the right milk. Because in How to Eat to Live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad calls it whole milk. He never says raw. But when I use the word raw, I'm talking about milk that comes from a farm that's being responsible. No chemical fertilizers, no pesticides, no herbicides in the grass where the cows graze naturally. They're not fed grains and soy. They're not pumped with antibiotics. They're not pumped with a bunch of antibiotics. When they milk the cow actually had a calf. And then once you milk that cow, that milk is refrigerated so that bacteria doesn't grow. And you can heat it to certain degrees that can kill certain infections that could be common in cows, but not to a degree where it starts to destroy some of the proteins and the good things that are in the milk. And then homogenization has to be completely out of the picture. When that is the process by which your milk has come, that milk supplies us with high nutrition that I've discussed in many programs. Let me know if I answered your question, April, because all the things I mentioned as what's happening on the farm and all those type of things would deem that the milk is organic. And so let me know if I answered your question. Regina, thank you for coming and listening from, I have no idea how to say that, Poughkeepsie, New York. Hope I said it right. But thank you for tuning in. Shirley X, I get mine from the Amish, also eggs and churned butter. Absolutely. Because most of the time they're doing the right thing. So, please, as a final, let me know if you all learned anything today. Did I do a good job of giving you an idea of how to take yourself out of this commercialized industrial ideology of how to eat and put it into a way that makes you confident that you can go from this point forward and learn how to start packing your plate and putting on what's in your plate in your bowl in a way that gives you confidence. So here's the last thing. See, this is what bothers me a lot about the media sometimes. They make things so difficult sometimes just for an average person to be okay with it. Intuitive eating. What the heck is that? You know, a lot of people will look at that and just move on to another thing because they don't know what the hell that means. Long story short, when you think through what you're going to eat, like we are talking about doing today, it will put you in a place of mental comfort because you're listening to a man that it happened to, okay? Now look at this. It says, deciding what, when, and how much to eat, relying on your body's unique needs and natural cues. Well, the reality is that, as I said before, a lot of people have no idea what that means because there's cows out there that know when to go lick the salt block, know when to eat certain type of grass because it's about to get cold and need to build their bodies up. We don't necessarily need to know that. We have to get this type of information that we're getting today to know how to put the right foods in to get the right nutrients. And that is how we get what, when, and how much to eat, by knowing what to put in our bodies. And then when we get the natural cue of hunger, we know that we're going to do the right things because we're thinking through what we're doing and not following emotions or marketing and other things like that. So I'm just clarifying a few things. I think this is a pretty good article, but I just want to take some of this, you know, scientific language and make it normal so that everybody else can hear. Let's talk about this is mostly, you know, young people doing these type of things. But I thought the idea was good. People need to get away from diets and dieting aids and all these fads and these quick loss things and start understanding, okay, what is it that I need? What is it going to take to take care of this body that God gave me? First of all, I got to put my faith back where it needs to be, right? And that is into God, who produced our food. And when you learn how to do the things correctly, as we talked about today, then last week's program will be, or 2 weeks ago program will be, actually it was 3 weeks, 3 weeks ago program will be our reality. Optimal vegetarianism without supplementation. That's what we talked about today. And all of you that are eating meat, again, this is not to put you down. continue to eat your meat. Just start processing yourself to the best meats and then get to as little meat as possible. You don't have to stop eating meat because I'm doing it. You don't have to stop eating meat because some other person, I haven't stopped eating meat. I do eat meat from time to time. And I don't feel bad about that. When I want to enjoy some fish, I'm going to do that. Time to time, when I want to eat a hamburger, I'm going to do that. But it's very rare. But I don't feel bad about it because I know that 90%, 95% of the time I'm trying to take care of my health right every day. So occasionally when I want to do something that I enjoy, I'm going to do it. I don't get myself out of balance and doing it too much, okay? Sister Walia says, excellent job. Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. April, you're saying I answered your question. Thank you. Maxine says, I learned so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man, for continuing to come back. And this is what makes me continue to do it. When you all say you learn, when you say that you are getting good information that helps empower you, that's what continues to give me the energy to continue to come back. April, perfect job. Thank you, sister. Cheryl X, excellent info. Thank you. Thank you. Regina says, since I started eating every other day, I find that I pay close attention to my meals. Yes, absolutely. And I do as well because I started eating, as I said before, one meal every other day 4 years ago, about a month before Ramadan. And, you know, I've had my challenges. Sometimes I go up and down. I do good, I do bad. But overall, I'm getting better and better and better. And this year, I have really dedicated myself to being the best example that I can potentially be. So we'll see. As this year goes on, you all keep looking at my face. It's probably going to get a little clearer, a little thinner, because I have a plan. You know, I'm not perfect. I have my mistakes. I'm over the weight that I want to be. So the things that I'm talking to you all about today is how I live my life. I'm getting more disciplined. I'm getting better at it as it goes on. I was telling somebody not too long ago that even when I first went into eating one meal every other day, there was a difficulty factor to the transition. But what it did was made me even a better one meal a day eater. And I was doing pretty good with that. So, you know, regardless of where we are, all of us just make sure that you continue being the best you that you can be. Make a mistake, it's okay. We're living a life in a very difficult world, a very difficult mind frame that pretty much has inundated our thoughts for most of our lives. So when we start going in the right direction, there may be some hiccups. There may be a few bumps in the road. Well, let's just keep trying and don't get deterred. You all always have access to my videos. You have access to asking me questions. So whatever I can do to help, let me know. Maria, thank you for always coming in. Shaniqua, thank you, sister. Regina says, I need to find a good milk source. You know what I did? I forgot last program to put a link in there, but today, probably by tomorrow, because I have something I got to run and do immediately after the show. But I'm going to put a link in here for you all to be able to use in your region of the country. You put in your zip code and then put in the radius, and you'll see the places where you can get milk. Kalila, thank you. April Muhammad, yes, always. Praise goes to the God we serve. So you all, thank you. That's my show for today. I appreciate you for coming in. I thank you to all the regulars, the new people. Continue to come back and get the news you can use here at the Ultimate Wellness Group. We pride ourselves in trying to make sure we empower you to change your life. We don't have a lot of things for sale. We don't have anything for sale. Just trying to offer you a way to improve your life. Next week's show is going to be specifically about prostate. So please, most of the time when I do my shows, I have mostly women. Bring your husbands, tell some brothers. They need to hear this because there's a lot of false information out there about the prostate. And I want men to be empowered so they can stop falling into these traps. Of course, this is near and dear to me, something that I've spent a lot of information and a lot of time on in my years in practicing medicine. So please come back next week. We're going to be talking about that prostate and the prostate health. And then I think the week after that, we're going to talk about infertility. 2 great shows coming up. Thank you all for coming in. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, I appreciate you coming in. Peace.